me because I generally know a lot of people in the community. It's been a pleasure kind of getting to hang out with some new people and talk to new people while I've been here. And I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself, maybe talk about why I'm here. Like Justin said, 2 years ago I tried to initiate JUMPfest through a kind of crowdsourced fundraiser thing. Did not pan out because we were all very poor and unable to support things, which is, I'm in the same boat, which is why I was trying to crowdsource it. So I'm really, really happy to be here. I can't say enough about what Justin and Gretchen and everybody have done to just organize this beast. I would not want to have to deal with it. So I'm glad that he was willing to take it on and just kind of like let me be a part of it. And I'm really happy to be here as the first keynote speaker. I do.
Your mic is slightly down towards your mouth.
I can do that, yeah. It's hard to bend though. It's got like a nice yaw on it. It wants to go up. Is that better?
It's all good.
Okay. I can just talk louder. I do have about 2 hours of material probably that I could cover. It's going to be really, really in depth. So just prepare yourselves. I'm breaking it up into sections also. So I'm going to kind of start just to give you guys a rundown. I have my magic book here, which if you do not keep a training journal or a magic journal book to write stuff in, that's one of my first suggestions. I think everybody should do that. But to break it down, just going to kind of go over how every joint system plays into the idea of jumping and landing. And then I'm going to go over a little bit more about just technical hacks, like some drills that I've done that have helped me. You guys are going to probably have to stand up and do some stuff. So thankfully it'll all be basically in place. Just try not to knock anybody else. That's about it. Before we get started, I want to just show you a couple quick videos. I have a lot of people actually that see my current stuff and talk to me like, oh, well, you know, it's easy for you to talk about learning how to jump because, you know, you've been doing it for 9 years and your jump is really good or whatever. Your jump is really strong, and people kind of just assume that I was always good at precisions. And a couple years ago, I put out an 18-minute video that I found on my dad's old like DV camcorder from when I was 14 and I started parkour, and my precision form was probably one of the worst I've ever seen. And so I brought that up. I just wanted to show you guys. I have a couple videos that I'm going to be referencing throughout. And so I wanted to just give everybody a little bit of a reference point for where I came from in my own training. And I think it's pretty hilarious. Uh-oh, did it get locked? Gretchen. Perfect. We gotta let the thing heat up. All right. So, like I said, this is a nice little 14-year-old me with a sweet bowl cut. And I started out, actually, I was a gymnast when I was a kid, and Justin talked a little bit last night at the campfire talk just about the rigidity and kind of that whole mindset of being a gymnast. You know, everything has kind of got this sort of form, and we talked about that a little bit. And I found that to be something that I actually had a 5-year break. I quit gymnastics when I was 9, started parkour when I was 14, and I still found it really hard to break out of, for me, to like kind of get out of that mindset of, okay, everything has to be in a certain way. So I just want to play for you guys a little bit of what my jump looked like in approximately 2007. It's pretty sweet. You can see flawless technique. And a lot of people ask like, oh, you know, how'd you get strong legs? And I basically just jumped on stairs for a really long time, trying to figure out how to get stronger and failing. And this one's a really nice one because it's got a little bit of a drop. I think that landing form obviously was a little bit less than ideal. I have a couple where I slip I want to share. Pretty sweet. Oh, audio's not on fleek right here. Here we go. So this was like all a learning process for me, you know, trying to figure out how to control my body through the process of jumping. And so just for a little bit of reference, I don't have too much super recent stuff, but I'd like to share with you guys just a couple clips from Instagram of landings that I feel like are representative of where my skill level is at now. So this is a nice little running free in slow motion to a rail that I did a couple weeks ago in New York City. There's a bunch of kids oohing and awing in the background, which is funny. And then this is another little running precision to plyo out, working on the stick. I messed that one up. Actually, Johnny was right over there filming that. And you know, this was all just kind of a process for me. There's a drop precision at the end I wanted to share with you guys. just figuring out how to adjust my body in the air. And so a lot of the things that I learned, especially in drop precisions, trying to figure out how to keep my technique and form consistent for sticks. That's a crappy speed run that I will just pause right there. So you can see it kind of ended up coming a long way, and I'm going to stand over here now. For me, one of the things that I figured out is that that I think helped me is that from the beginning, actually in that 18-minute video, a lot of it is just self-analysis. You know, I'd kind of like film myself and really be critical, hypercritical sometimes of what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong. And I started when I was 14, and 9 years later, here I am. So that was just a little bit of a background for where I came from. I think I want to make it clear that, you know, we all have different bodies and it's all a learning process. So the things that I'm going to be sharing with you are things that I've kind of discovered through my own journey, through training with people like Dylan and Phil Doyle, Callum Powell, just the best athletes in the world in parkour. And you know, we all kind of have similar mindsets in certain ways, and these are things that I've kind of picked up as the common ground. That having been said also, what I want to make clear to people too is, you know, this is all anecdotal. There are no studies showing that anything that I'm talking about is going to protect your knees 20 years from now. I've never had any knee problems. I've never had any real overuse injuries. The only major injury I've ever had from jumping is I tweaked my ankle super hard on a plyo, and it was just like a quick acute thing, and I rehabbed it in like 6-8 months, and it was pretty much back to normal after that. So in my own experience, the people that I know that train this way, anecdotally again, have not had any knee issues, have not had any overuse issues. So I think that, you know, compared to the average practitioner that maybe has had some chronic injuries, that's a good sign that we're on the right track. But again, nobody has done a conclusive, you know, scientific study studying the body mechanics of jumping in the way that we do. So we're kind of all breaking new ground together. Now that I did my little disclaimer and nobody can sue me for medical advice, I'm going to move on to actually telling you what I think about jumping. I'm breaking this up into parts. So after every section, I'll do about 5 or 6 minutes of talking, and then if you have a question, I would encourage you after, you know, I break up my part to just raise your hand. I'll take about 3 to 5 minutes of questions after every section. If nobody has questions, I'll just move on to the next one. And I will be also like giving you guys some drills to do and showing a couple videos while we're going, so it's not just sitting for 2 hours, super boring. The first thing I want to talk about is basically when we're jumping, it's a full body motion. The first link in that chain, and I'm focusing on landing primarily in this one first. The first link in that chain of landing, a lot of people think for whatever reason is either their ankles or their knees. And really the first thing that we're doing is using our feet to absorb. So I don't know if anybody here trains barefoot. If you do, or even if you just walk barefoot, you'll notice that you have all these great little muscles that are such good shock absorbers, right? So if I land on the balls of my feet and I absorb all the way through to my heel, kind of just letting my heel either briefly touch the ground or just stay slightly elevated above the ground, I'm able to absorb all the way through those muscles that are connecting, you know, my toes to my ankle, all those little ligaments, the things that are easy to hurt, but are really great shock absorbers. So the first thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was just how your feet can play into everything. They're the kind of the foundation for what you do. So first step obviously is when we land a precision jump, we land on the balls of our feet. A lot of people say, oh, why do you do that? Answer number one is that that's our primary shock absorber. By landing on the balls of our feet, we're essentially creating a second joint, right? Like if we don't land on the balls of our feet, if we're landing on the middle of our foot, we just took our ankle out of the equation. What we want to do in general is use a wide range of motion to distribute force. If I'm trying to catch myself in a push-up and I lower myself all the way down to here and I'm, you know, in a nice stable position, I'm going to be able to decelerate really smoothly. If I catch here and just kind of like pop my shoulders, I'm going to be putting a lot more stress into like one joint system. So if I'm able to use a fuller range of motion to decelerate, that's just going to be a little bit healthier for what I'm doing. So when you're landing on the balls of the foot, the way that I like to think of it, it's not just, you know, okay, I'm landing on the ball of my foot and then that's all I have to worry about. It's actually landing on the ball of the foot and then allowing your foot and your ankle to absorb all the way through that range of motion. If you're not allowing your foot and your ankle to absorb, you're going to be creating stress in weird places. Actually, I wrote a blog post called Stop Jumping Like a Ballerina because I noticed a lot of people were jumping and landing plantar flexed. So if you can't see, I'll put it up on the thing. Plantar flex is when you're pointing your toes. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody land precisions like this. It's really common for me if you say, tell someone, okay, land on the balls of your foot, and they land